But on that note, like the memory of pain. So horses remember pain, just like you would. If you had some shoes that you bought and you forced yourself to wear them because they were expensive shoes, we've all done that, on a night out, and you, by the end of the night, you were basically crippled because your feet were so sore. If you go and even think about those shoes again, what do you think about? Like 10 out of 10 times, you're going to think about the pain. You're going to think about how uncomfortable and what those shoes caused you. So why would it be any different with our horses when it comes to the application of a saddle, application of tack? It's the same thing. They remember. They're first-time learners. They are wired this way because they have to be for survival. If they keep going down a route when they're in the wild that causes them injury and pain, they're going to kill their herd. So obviously they know, right, I'm going to avoid that path. So it's the same when it comes to the tack. If they know the tack is causing them problems, of course they're going to be more aware of it, and they're going to be like, hang on a minute, I need to stop. I don't want to have that tension, that tightness on my body. So this is so important when it comes to our horses. Welcome to another episode of the Chiropractor on the Road Diary. I know that does not sound catchy, but it's what I'm doing. So hands-free driving, so I'm safe. Okay, today I went about an hour and a half south of where I am based in the UK and treated 3 horses. 2 of them I've seen before, 1 of them I've never seen before. This lady has been waiting over a year to see me, which, like, I can't get my head around it sometimes because there's so many other, like, really great physios, body workers. But, like, I suppose from an owner perspective, when you know, like, and trust someone and you feel like that body worker has helped your horses in the past, you don't want to switch. You just want to stay with what works. So I do get it. So 2 of the horses I have seen before, and they were follow-up appointments, but one of them had a really bad fall since I'd last seen him. So this is what horses do, right? Unfortunately, where she was in the arena, he was walking, he's a stallion, and something spooked him. He rushed forward, like galloped forward, and then lost his footing and fell down on the left side of his body. So like his entire pelvis collapsed and he landed very heavily on the left side of his body. So unfortunately, like watching him move, I was straight away aware that this horse wasn't 100%. He had no inflammation in terms of heat that was palpable, but how can we really tell if the horse is in pain? Because there's so much that goes on. A body has under stress. So we have our subjective opinion, but we can't really tell if that horse is, in pain or not. But one thing we can do is recognize behavior. And this owner is fantastic at knowing what is normal for her horse and what is not normal for a horse. And this is the key that you can learn anywhere. And this is what I teach a lot of my clients. Think of these 3 A's: ask, assess, adjust. So she was asking a question, which she normally would, and he was showing signs of his behavior that were different. So in asking the questions, knowing what is his normal, she was like, something's not right with my horse. And so this is when she went into, okay, assessing, what is it? And she recognized that under saddle, he was not the same horse. He was spooking, he was running forward, whereas normally he's quite calm, he's quite, he's young, so you'd have a moment or 2, but not showing what he was showing under saddle. So this is when the beauty of adjusting. She took off the saddle, she realized he was better. And this is what I help equestrians with around the world, is letting you know that there is always an answer with your horse. I'm not a veterinarian, so I can't diagnose. What I can do is help get you closer to that solution so that you don't feel so overwhelmed, and that you most of all don't feel like there's something wrong with you. Like your horse is ignoring you when you know deep down that you're ignoring your horse when you know deep down that there is something going on with your horse. Like your horse is not well. And this is one of the key things that I do teach my clients. So asking, assessing, adjusting. Apply this to absolutely everything when it comes to your horses, when it comes to better understanding them, when it comes to figuring out where are where is the pain, and also knowing where to start. Because in most cases with horses, there's more than one area that is, I don't want to say lame, but that is not healthy, or that is restricted, or that is whatever word you want to use. You know that there's more than one source of restriction or dysfunction. So we treated him, he responded really well. Now she's got 3 stallions, so they're all so different in their personalities, but I just love working with them all, and I genuinely love working with all of these types, because people assume stallions are like, I don't know, naughty, boisterous, whatever word you want to use, but they're honestly so soft, so lovely, and just have the biggest, I think all horses have the biggest heart, but working with these guys, they really bring a smile to my face. So the third one that I mentioned that I treated, which was a new one, and oh my god, he was beautiful, like seriously a beautiful, beautiful horse, but what a history. And again, I take my hat off to this owner. I'm not going to mention names because it's a small world, and this is not what this episode is about. It's not about naming or shaming or blaming. This episode is about giving you, the viewer, the listener, the tool and the reassurance that trust your gut. And that's maybe not a scientific word to use, and maybe not that's what you want to hear. But if you use these 3 A's, ask, assess, adjust, when working with your horse trying to figure out what's going on, you will get there a hell of a lot quicker, and it won't feel so overwhelming, and you won't feel like you're in an endless rabbit hole of non-solutions. So this is a 12-year-old show horse that's been competing with professionals, and she has recently been given the horse because of, honestly, being brutally honest, the state that he was in. So his owner, who owns the horse, provides the finances, but is not, in terms of not a horse, he doesn't produce the horses, doesn't exercise them. He noticed that his horse wasn't the same. And when this client that I know got him, she was actually gobsmacked. Because people assume like abuse with horses is like a skinny horse, or, a horse with no muscle on. And yes, that is true. There's also different kinds of abuse. And this is one of the most common abuses I see, which is the abuse of neglecting teeth, the abuse of neglecting saddle fit, correct saddle fit, the abuse of neglecting farriery, like basic horse husbandry, which you might sit there and go, well, that's obvious, Nika, isn't it? In this horse's case, and unfortunately in a lot that I see, it wasn't. And this is the biggest thing, like, the number one cause of lameness in horses is tack, restriction, pressure, ill-fitting tack. These things are what is causing a hell of a lot of pain, lameness, these unexplained behaviors in horses. Because, and this is what I love about this owner. So this horse came to her, to give you some more like context of how bad he was, like scratching him raw. He had one shoulder visibly bigger than the other. He had these lumps on his back that were hot, unexplained. He was quite aggressive. This is the saddest thing, besides all that I've just mentioned. She said when they brought him in, she gave him water as she normally would, and he gulped down an entire bucket of water, and then just stood at the back of the stable for hours and didn't touch the water again. And what she's assuming, and this is again not uncommon, where people will starve their horses of water, so when they do have access to water, the horses just gulp as much as they can, which is not normal for a horse to drink that amount of water. That's meant to be, a competition horse in whatever word you want to use, great conditions. So something was going on there as well. What she did is she went, you know what, I'm not going to ride you. I'm actually just going to let you be a horse. She took away the rugs. She took away the excess feed, gave him some hay 24/7, water 24/7, access to turnout, and just said, for the next 3 weeks, be a horse. I don't know about you, but I friggin' love that. Just go and be a horse. And imagine if most horses had that choice, and she said what was really interesting was over the 3 weeks that he was there, the first 3 weeks, she said she'd go into a stable in the morning and muck it out, and he would then again have the choice to go out if he wanted to. And she said his coat had like this black, like almost grease coming off it. And she was like, I've never seen it before. It was like thick grease. Like if you were to groom it, she was like, you'd spend ages grooming it only to the next day have it there again. And she said this lasted for like 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden she said he had like a normal coat. And we're being very subjective here, but it was almost like he was on so much supplements, so much excess unnecessary feed, that his body almost went like a human would go through a detox, right? And you're like shedding and getting rid of all this rubbish in your body. And his coat, by the way, today was absolutely beautiful, and was very like quite silky, so it had like a natural grease to it, like a natural oil, which was just lovely. So she let him be a horse. She let him do what horses do. And okay, today I'm a therapist, I'm trained this way. We're looking for asymmetries, we're looking for restrictions. Well, this horse, genuinely, I could see the restrictions, but in comparison to the pictures she sent me like 8 weeks ago when she first got him, they were really very mild compared to what she sent me. And that showed me that by letting him be a horse, by taking away all the nonsense, stripping back all these supplements, all of this excess feed, treating him like a horse with optimal turnout, good water, just good quality hay, his body was rebalancing, his body was allowed to heal. And that is so magical, that is so powerful. So today he had a good MOT, that's my word of saying like he's had a good full treatment. However, what I've said to her is, instead of now just going back into normal schooling work, I'm going to give you a tailored plan where we take him step by step back into what the owner wants, which is ridden work. This is where a lot of equestrians don't know what to do, because a lot of us assume, well, he's a 12-year-old, he's used to being in the show ring, we'll just get him back into work, right? But the hard truth is his body has completely adapted. Remember, I just told you what he was going through, which is like almost like a detox. And then his posture's completely changed. So if we go back now and put the saddle on how it was, by the way, I told her to throw that saddle away because the saddle was so asymmetric and caused so much issues through his entire body. He's not going to have that back on. What I did was, I've written her an 8-week get back into the saddle plan with some red flags. Now, what I mean by that, because in my ideal world, in your ideal world, in this rider's ideal world, we'll get him back in under saddle within 8 weeks and he'll be happy and he'll be comfortable. But anyone here that's owned a horse knows that that is not always the case, and there's always curveballs. So I've given her 2 week, we change one thing at a time. Every 2 weeks we change one thing at a time. This is also because I've said to her, every couple of weeks when we change something, I want her to give me feedback. This feedback is so important because what I want to establish is this horse happy with the changes? And that's it. And you only do that by assessing. Well, let's go one step further. You only do that by asking, assessing, and adjusting. So every time we change something, which happens every 2 weeks, I need to check in with the owner and say, how is the horse doing? She needs to know the knowledge on how to assess him to know that if he's improving, or maybe he's just hit a bit of a flunk and maybe we have to go back a step or two. And that is the reality of horses. And that's the reality of a strength plan, is knowing that, do you know what? We've improved so much, but he's maybe finding this bit a little bit harder than we'd like. So instead of pushing him through it, we're not going to do that. What are we going to do instead is back off him and go back maybe a couple of steps. And this is the beauty when you keep looking at your horse. So if you are interested in knowing like specifically how I help this horse from a get back under saddle perspective, let me know, comment below. And if you found this video helpful, and I'm on the go in between appointments, but I thought I would just share, like, these are the real life situations. This is what I'm thinking, and these are the kind of conversations I'm having.